It's Silent Film Sunday on Captain Adam's VHS pirate ship with Captain Adam and Little Creep. Today's viewing Frankenstein from 1910. And now we join Captain Adam and Little Creep in the theater. Enjoy the show.
All right, Little Creep, are you ready for this?
Oh yes, this is going to be very exciting. It's going to be interesting to see basically what is one of the first motion pictures of all time. Also, it's the first book-to-film adaptation. If you notice back there, they even admit to it being a liberal adaptation of the book. So even back then, they realized that book-to-film translations film adaptations of books, needed a lot of artistic license. So,
Oh, wow, this looks terrible.
Well, it is 100 plus years old. So, you gotta really kind of give them a break here.
Oh yeah, right. Oopsie, never mind.
And this, of course, is a very abridged version of the story, as this film is only a little over 12 minutes long. So there you go. By the way, I'm really enjoying this on hold music.
A representative will be with you shortly. Your call will be answered in the order in which it was received.
Victor Frankenstein there, being portrayed by Augustus Phillips. And of course, he would go on to star in like a bazillion other silent movies, including The Grim Game, which starred Harry Houdini. Like I said earlier, this is a very abridged version of the story. I mean, we're not even 2 minutes into the film yet, and he's already getting ready to do the experiment. So they're really sort of moving this along, which is what you want. Because if you watch the Mary Shelley's Frankenstein film, the '94 one with Robert De Niro, that takes an awful long time to get started. I mean, most of the beginning of that film is you just seen Victor Frankenstein's childhood and stuff like that. It's like, I don't know, you don't really want to see that. You just kind of want to get on with it. And of course, that movie does eventually end up delivering very well, but it takes a while. So this, I can really appreciate it, really sort of jumping right into it, so to speak.
Yes, they don't waste any time in this, and basically I think it's because they had no time in which to waste. At this time, this was basically a brand new technology, so they didn't really know how well this was going to work, or even what the capacity of the capabilities of this new technology was, so hence there is only a 12-minute film, but that's okay. Look at that skeleton sitting there. Yeah, what gives with that? It looks really weird. Like, it's very just really stands out for some reason. Oh, look, he's starting the experiment. Oh, look at that. What's neat about this film is there is actually halfway decent special effects. Like this part here, the monster's creation, it's pretty fabulous for the time. It's pretty damn impressive. Yeah, the effects in this movie are pretty impressive, and they certainly look better than the CGI does today. I can tell you what. This part rather gruesome, really, for not showing anything. It just seems very off-putting and unnatural, and it's a little freaky. So they really nailed the concept of a horror movie, which it's just so impressive for this time. This was 1910. This is like one of the first motion pictures, and they're already doing special effects. It's almost like they just could not help themselves because it's just so fun. I mean, look at that. That is just kind of sick. It's like, look, hi, but it just looks really gruesome, and I can only imagine what people thought when they saw this for the first time. I mean, they were probably jumping out of their shoes. Yes, I can only imagine. I mean, look at that. That looks really spooky. It looks really creepy. It just, ugh. You know what? It kind of reminds me of Inner Space when the bad guy gets digested. Remember that?
Yeah, it does kind of look like that. Of course, that role was portrayed by the great Vernon Wells. But yeah, look at that. That just looks fabulous. Look. Ah!
Victor Frankenstein there, realizing what he has done, and perhaps he's having second thoughts now. Well, it's a little too late now there, Vicky. Looks like, the chicken's in the pot and it's boiling, so, Look at that. Oh, man. It's just like, I don't know. If I was an audience member in 1910 and I saw that, I wouldn't know what I was seeing. I would definitely have nightmares, I would suppose, because you hadn't seen anything like that before. Yeah, I mean, I totally would have shit upon seeing this if I was around back then. I mean, it's just fascinating stuff. Yeah, Frankenstein appalled at the sight of his evil creation. And it's interesting to note here, another reason why they sort of abridged this as they did is that Thomas Edison, the producer, of course, he wanted to leave out all the grotesque and rather immoral bits of the story, which is why you don't really see any grave robbing, or there's really not any grave robbing involved in this. Oh, look, there's the monster. What do you think of him, little creep? Oh, well, I think the design of this monster is rather fabulous. It is very macabre and disturbing to look at. And, of course, the monster in this film is portrayed by Charles Ogle, who did a number of other silent films as well, including an adaptation of A Christmas Story. Yeah, A Christmas Story. No, that's quite different. A Christmas Carol, or The Christmas Carol, whatever it is. He played Bob Cratchit. So, yes, Charles Ogle has a pretty impressive career. Yeah, I don't think he was in A Christmas Story, but he was also in the first screen adaptation of Treasure Island as well. Oh, The Return Home. Here we are back in a snowstorm, apparently, but let's see. Yes. Victor Frankenstein being very proud of himself and a little worried and concerned about what he may have done, but he's just trying to ignore it, forget about it, push it under the rug, and just get on with his life and marry his fiancée. So yeah, I think we all would pretty much do the same thing in this situation. Had we created a monster, we probably just would have run away and tried to ignore it the best we could. Yeah, I probably would have just taken no accountability at all for this, because what really are you supposed to do? It's a little late now, so anyway. A very important pinnacle scene coming up here in the film, also in the story, to where the monster realizes what he is, and of course he starts to have all the emotions that a human does, with jealousy and anger and all this. So, it's interesting how they portrayed it in this version of the story. Yes, it is, little creep. In fact, basically everything about this film is interesting because the whole technology and art of filmmaking was just, brand new at this time. And as you can see, they're working with a full-sized mirror. And if you've done any kind of like photography or film, working with mirrors isn't that easy. You really have to angle it just right so you don't see yourself or the camera in there. And so here we see the monster creeping into the room. You see the reflection first, the monster there, asking Victor to please move his car so he can get out. but no, really, the monster is pleading with Victor. He wants a woman, he wants a bride, he wants to be more human. He doesn't understand why he exists at all. He's very confused and angry, which of course is more like the actual book. So the monster in this isn't this grunting, growling, groaning beast like the common portrayal of the monster is. This is more human, as he figures out what he is, and all of his emotions come into full view. So this portrayal of the monster is, even though he looks very gruesome and grotesque, but he acts very human. Yes, much like they did with the 1994 Mary Shelley's Frankenstein with Robert De Niro. By the way, I still wonder about that casting. Oh, they're getting into it now. The monster has had enough of Victor's stuff. Oh, then he sees himself in the mirror. A very, very impactful scene. Lots of emotion here. Lots of emotion. Yeah, it was a great scene. But of course, things are getting ready to come to a screeching halt here. If you really want to slow your movie down, always include a wedding scene. I just really don't like it when movies do that. But it is what it is. It is important to the story. You see Victor get married, and that's, a crucial part of the story. Because all this does is just make the monster even more pissed off, because now he is just feverishly jealous, and he's just very angry, because you just don't do this kind of stuff. You don't,
make somebody out of corpse parts, even though they don't include that in this movie. But still, the premise is you raise somebody from the dead and expect them to be cool about it. Basically just to prove that you can.
Yes, of course, the moral of the story is that Victor Frankenstein is the true monster, and there's just some things you just shouldn't do.
Yeah, and the more you watch this, any kind of adaptation of Frankenstein, the more you're like, Victor is just a complete dick. And look at him, he's so happy with himself, and oh, there's nothing wrong, oh boy, everything's good.
Oh, not for long. Oh, look, they had Instagram filters all the way back then.
Yeah, I guess they put a bit of a light filter on the camera lens or the kinetoscope lens to sort of signify the emotional resonance of this scene. And here we see the monster lurking and looking for a little bit of action. He's going to take what he wants. There's Victor there.
Oh, why is this door open? Huh, that's funny. I don't know. Oh!
Yeah, it's about to be some problems here. And there we see her running in fear. The monster, again, just wants a little action and doesn't understand why he can't have it. And he's very confused and very angry. They're having a bit of a tiff here. He says, "Screw your bouquet." And he storms out. Had a bit of a problem opening the doors there, but that's okay. Yes, lots of drama here. Lots of drama.
Yes, ultimately the monster is no monster at all, and really he just wants love, which I think is something we all want. It's something we all can relate to. So yes. Oh, we're back to the sepia filter now.
Yes, this film emotes very well, and it did an excellent job of capturing the spirit of the story. There again, working with the big mirror in the background, using it as a pinnacle part of the scene. Very well done. You see the monster seeing himself in the mirror and then disappears for some reason. That was interesting. But the monster is still in the reflection, and here we see Victor realizing that he himself is the real monster. Seeing his reflection in the mirror, and the reflection now is back to normal. Again, pretty decent special effects for the time.
Yes, they really were pretty decent special effects. It is interesting that one of the first movies would be a horror movie, or at least a horror type movie, or a movie with special effects and a monster. It's almost like they couldn't help themselves. It's just too much fun to make horror movies or monster movies of that sort. So yeah, that was a pretty fun movie.
Yes, it was a pretty fun movie with surprisingly decent special effects. A rather nicely done adaptation of Frankenstein. Of course, it was produced by Thomas Edison. Yes, the Thomas Edison. And all in all, we're very lucky to still have this around, considering how old this film is, and that many films from that era didn't survive for one reason or another. So, we should be very happy to still have this in our libraries.
Yes, and I'm very happy that all of you out there watched Frankenstein with us today. Please be sure to hit subscribe, like, and share, and we'll see you next time, right, Captain Adam?
Abso-flogging-lutely, little creep. And all of you out there, keep it locked right here, and we'll see you next time, only on Captain Adam's VHS Pirate Ship.